Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Rinaldi, a psychiatrist and psychotherapist working in the UK. Today we're talking about trauma. I want to normalise this very human experience and understand a little bit more about how it affects people on a day-to-day basis and direct you towards some good sources of support if it's something that resonates with you. Trauma destroys our ability to reflect and understand what's going on. So I hope this video leaves you feeling understood and reassured if this is something that resonates with you. I'm posting weekly on all things mental health, so please like and subscribe to keep up to date and comment below if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover. This is a very personal topic to me because when I was training as a psychiatry doctor, I responded to a person who'd committed suicide, and after the resuscitation failed, I was left traumatised, for weeks and months afterwards. I couldn't sleep properly. I kept thinking of her, and anything like the smell of blood or the sight of blood set me off into a terrible internal feeling. And I took every opportunity I could to avoid going back to that ward where the resuscitation happened. But thankfully, 4 years on, I'm able to watch horror films again. I've been back to the ward, and I can say her name aloud without becoming very upset. So I say that to normalise that this is a very common experience if you've been through something life-threatening or seeing someone else going through something life-threatening, and that is light on the horizon. Trauma is your body's normal response to overwhelming situations. You have to cut off from your body, you have to cut off from your feelings to fight and flight through the situation that's threatening you in the moment. Over time, you will return to your normal sense of self, return to your body, and return to your normal way of doing things. The problem is, in trauma, you don't return to that, so you stay stuck in your fight and flight response. The trauma may have been something relatively recent, a one-off, or a number of things that happened through your childhood, through your adulthood, and seem to keep repeating themselves. Either way, we use the umbrella term trauma to cover all of these difficulties, and the treatment is similar. If you recognise any of the following symptoms in yourself, it would be a good idea to get professional help. Here are 7 signs that you could be traumatised. 1. Every day feels like the trauma. Everyone you meet feels like someone who was involved in the trauma, and every day you expect something very similar to happen. 2. You can't find words for the trauma. We can see in brain scans of traumatised individuals that their speech centres are separated from their memory centres, and so they literally can't find the words for what they've been through. 3 is that you're reliving the trauma somehow. Now that may be full-blown flashbacks where you feel like you're literally back in the moment of when the terrible thing happened, but it could also include nightmares or flashbacks in any of your other senses, so smelling repeatedly things that happened at the time of the awful experience as well. Initially, this is thought to be a way of mastering the trauma, so reliving it gives you an opportunity to mentally rehearse how you might behave differently in future, but clearly the disturbing images and things that you're experiencing are now holding you back in life. A more difficult experience to describe is that of dissociation. So some people describe watching themselves over their own shoulder or not feeling like they're in their body. In extreme forms, it might feel like the whole world is real or your whole body is not real. And on a more subtle form, you might notice that you're drifting off more often, not really completely present with where you are. And people around you might comment that you feel a bit flat and emotionless because you've cut off entirely from your feelings. This is a very normal thing that people do on a daily basis because the complexity of human experience is just too much to experience in its fullness. But if you are entirely cut off, you will not be able to engage properly with your day-to-day life and move forward. Now, anything to do with the traumatic moment in your life will bring up terrible feelings if you re-encounter it, be that people who were there, the place where it was, or even things that even vaguely remind you of it. And over time, you'll find any way to avoid those reminders, on some level unconsciously, to avoid bringing up those terrible feelings. This can also include avoiding getting the help that you deserve. 6. Your relationships are suffering. Either you're struggling with such low trust in others that you struggle to attach, or you're so over-trusting that you wonder why you keep getting hurt by people. Others might find you irritable and quick to anger, but you and I both know that that's a thin shell over real feelings of vulnerability. You wake up on edge and carry it throughout the whole day, and no amount of alcohol, hot baths or meditation can soothe it. You feel stressed by anything, going to the shops, walking down the street, if you go out at all, and the only time you can really relax is with a trusted pet. If this is all sounding really familiar, it could be that you're traumatised, and here are some things you could do today to start feeling better. Number one, do something to get in touch with your body again. That might be Googling grounding techniques or having a massage. Trauma splits us off from our body, so getting back in touch with it will help you feel more integrated and more wholesome immediately. Secondly, it's time to get your house in order, so that means organising your debts, organising your week. The trauma wants to ruin your whole entire life. By structuring your life, you can get some control back and create some space for the therapy that you're going to need. Find a trusted professional in your local area that you can work with, preferably in person, and ask them how competent they are dealing with trauma and see how comfortable you feel in their presence. There's no need at day one to start uncovering every single trauma from your past that's happened. If you do, you'll probably leave feeling worse than better. You need to focus on the present day and focusing on how things are affecting you on a day-to-day basis and finding alternate ways of dealing with your problems. This will give you the biggest benefit. And then, later on down the line, if you want to reprocess your traumas and talk about them with someone you've built a trusting relationship with, you can. It's really important that you feel in charge of the process. Another thing you might want to consider is medication. Although it's not first line in treating trauma, medication can be so helpful for some people to take the edge off flashbacks, nightmares and anxiety to help them access therapy. I hope this helps. I hope you can start your life moving forward again and becoming the complete whole individual that you were before your trauma. And I hope that with these recommendations you feel in control of the process and understood. This is a common problem that we all struggle with, and you can be stronger off the back of it once you've got the right help. This probably sounds dreamy to you right now while you're in it, but it is possible to not only recover but to grow through this experience. So I wish you all the best.